But The Lost World, I think I'm 100% with you. It doubles down and it innovates after JP1 and actually does a lot of new things instead of just trying to continue to play off of and play off of like the original vibes, just doing copy and paste from what worked in the first movie and then try to just do that with the second movie. It actually did something very big with going a completely new direction with the franchise. And so like I'm a huge fan of that. I think that's honestly what makes this movie great is the fact that it's different. It's so distinctly from the rest of I would say from the rest of the entire franchise. Welcome to Dino Park Media. My name is Samuel, and today I have with me the one, the only Jurassic Jaye from Instagram. He's an incredible member of the community, a strong member who's really helping a lot with making sure that Jurassic Park is still prominent within all of our minds. Jaye, why don't you go ahead and say hey?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How is everyone out there?
Yeah, I mean, especially with all the snow and cold weather, I hope that everybody's doing all right. But dude, it's so good to have you on today. And today we get to talk about a fantastic movie. You told me that it's your favorite. Is that right? The Lost World?
Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely.
Dude, The Lost World. I will be 100% honest. Like, I was not one of the people that immediately hated it when I first watched it because I got into Jurassic Park when I was in high school. But I definitely knew, like, oh man, there's something different. And then, like, as we look back at The Lost World, you can definitely look back and see how it had a lot of hate in the beginning, but then over time, it's really become one of the most loved movies in the franchise. And so I just wanted to be able to talk about that today, just be able to go deeper into how did Jurassic Park, the Lost World Jurassic Park, become such a prominent part of the franchise. And so But especially with somebody who loves it as much as you do. So like, I think we might as well just jump in straight away and kind of like break down why you enjoy it, why we both enjoy it. Why do you personally think that the Lost World Jurassic Park is great?
Well, you know, it's funny that what you just said that that this hate or whatever for this movie. I didn't get that in the beginning when I first saw it. When I went to see it in theaters. Memorial Day weekend when it came out, it premiered, and I got to see it with my uncle and my cousin, and I absolutely loved it from the jump. And it's later years that I actually heard that people didn't like it. I was just completely thrown off, like, why don't people like this movie? And I mean, I loved it for basically these simple like things. One, I love that we were going back into an environment that was not being ruled by man at all. Basically, it was just the dinosaurs out there surviving on their own. Two, we were in basically their environment. We had, just that scene where he says no electrified fences, it's their place. I love that fact that there was no safety net. You can. You end up finding out that there is like this village area or whatever, but most of the time there's really nowhere these humans can go. They're in their home, Yes. Of course, 2 T-Rexes.
Double the trouble right there.
Yeah, I love the Tyrannosaurs. Everybody knows that in the community. I am a huge Tyrannosaurus Rex fan. And just having 2 of them, and you're introduced to the male T-Rex, the buck. I can't, there's nothing more to say for that. And Malcolm is my favorite character, and having him in a leading role for some others has been not the greatest, but for me, I absolutely loved it. I loved Ian as the main character for the movie. Plus, I loved that he was like the only one that had really been there before, and it just made the story great when he like knew, like us, the audience, when you heard a sound, like he knew what it was. Like one particular scene is like the long grass scene, and he just hears like the raptor purr, and he's like, run as fast as you can, because he knew like it was raptors. He's heard that sound before. He saw them destroy that cow in when they're like visiting the raptor pen in Jurassic Park 3. In Jurassic Park in 1993.
Right.
And so like it's so cool to feel that as an audience member that you almost like lived through him in the movie.
Hmm.
And just I just love the grittiness and the darkness of the movie. I just felt like it was um such a good way to go about it was more violent, and and
Hmm.
there was more I would say that's and I think this one has the most that's out of the entire franchise, honestly. um but that's those elements of that movie just made me love that movie all the much more. And as time has gone on with sequels that we've had, no movie has matched that. None of the sequels have matched that. And like I like to say that Jurassic Park and Lost World, they're like on a teeter-totter, where like they Jurassic I mean Lost World kind of like beats Jurassic Park but like a hair for me, but they're pretty much in the same. So I don't really like to like when I put like favorite movies of franchise, I kind of put them together, like in one movie almost, a category, and then the others I put them in you know third favorite, fourth favorite, and so on. You know.
Yeah, and then move on down the line.
Hmm.
But no, I mean, I will agree with you that The Lost World has so many components to it that make it so much better than the rest of the sequels. Uh, I I'll be 100% honest that Jurassic World is my favorite sequel because of the fact that my favorite movie out of the franchise is JP1,
Hmm.
and Jurassic World echoes so much of JP1, even to the point of even just being like a member film where it's like basically just copying elements of the first movie. And
Right.
because I'm such a like a romantic and I'm huge on nostalgia, that got me. That hook, line, and sinker, Jurassic World gets me that way. But The Lost World, I think I'm 100% with you. It doubles down and it innovates after
Hmm.
JP1 and actually does a lot of new things instead of just trying to continue to play off of and play off of like the original vibes, just doing copy and paste from what worked in the first movie and then try to just do that with the second movie.
Hmm.
It actually did something very big with going a completely new direction
Yeah.
with the franchise. And so, like, I'm a huge fan of that. I think that's honestly what makes this movie great is the fact
Hmm.
that it's different. It's so distinctly from the rest of I would say from the rest of the entire franchise, but
It is.
specifically
Yeah.
from the first movie, specifically from JP1, it sets itself apart as being a darker tone. It takes
Hmm.
that quote unquote Empire Strikes Back turn to sequels where it goes darker, it gets more
Yes.
violent, and I completely agree with you about the fact that this is definitely probably the most violent movie that they have in the Jurassic franchise thus far. JP3 had a lot of violence in it, but I think that it had more action rather than horror elements
Hmm.
compared to like the fact that there was a lot of like suspense, terror, horror that was really wrapped up in the Lost World. But
Hmm.
the movie itself, I nowadays I look back at this movie and I think it's amazing, and
Hmm.
I think that obviously there are some things that you can take jabs at, specifically like gymnastics, with Kelly, kicking the Raptor and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, every movie will have its downfall, but I mean, like there's certain things, but this movie also got a lot of hate, and
Yeah.
so when the Lost World dropped with mixed review, I mean, I know that you might not have felt this when when you first watched the movie
Hmm.
in your region, but like, um, you look at different forums and a lot of different people with histories, and the Lost World was panned by some critics. It was met with very mixed reviews. So people either like liked it, they hated it, and then there were some people in the middle that like liked a big portion of it, but then hated the San Diego scene. So like, why do you think it suffered so much hate back in the day, and even a little bit still today? But I mean, I think today it's actually regarded as one of the better sequels. But now,
Hmm.
back in the day, back before, it was hated. Why do you think that is?
Well, um, I think there's one of the main reasons was if you had read the Lost World book, it was very different from the book. I know that's why my uncle didn't like it, and he's the one that took us to go see it. I
Mm,
remember him telling me when we were leaving the theater, he's like, he's like, it's so different from the book, and I was like, oh, I hadn't read the book yet, and he let me borrow it afterwards, and I read it. I love the book, but I love the movie as well. You know what I mean, there's no hate or there's certain elements of the book that I wish were in the movie, but now we're seeing it in other sequels anyway. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff in the Crichton books that we're seeing and everything in like sequels, and probably we'll see stuff in Dominion too. I mean, it's just there's so much to mine from it. You know, I mean, it's so rich.
Right.
So, another reason I feel is that everybody wanted another Jurassic Park, and that's like what sequels and films suffer from. You get this one film that has this majesty, this fantastic type of look and feel, and you want to replicate it, and you want to go into the theater feeling the same feeling you felt before, and it's not. You're never gonna get another Jurassic Park.
It's out of the bag.
It's done. You're never going to see dinosaurs the way that you saw dinosaurs the first time.
That's right.
So that's why with Lost World, they gave us more dinosaurs. They gave us dinosaurs in different type of elements and like backgrounds to kind of feed us into like, well, we can't show you a dinosaur in a cage again because we already did that. And, you know what I mean? It worked with Jurassic World because it had been so long that we had anything, and we never saw an actual functioning park that Jurassic World was able to succeed. And of course, Jurassic World had so much other elements, which honestly is my third favorite in the whole franchise. I love Jurassic World. Like I know it gets hate too now, and I know friends that don't like it that are hardcore Jurassic Park fans, but I love that movie. It's there's scenes in there just had me bawling in the theater, like seeing this, because I remember back seeing it when I was a little kid. You know, it just brought back a lot of elements. So I feel that with Lost World, everybody was expecting that. They were rolling into the theater to feel the same thing, and once they didn't feel the same thing, and Spielberg went a darker route, they were like, oh, I don't like it. I wanted to feel this like, ooh, you know, and they didn't feel that. And you see that also with there's a good amount of history also with Empire Strikes Back. When it first came out, people did not like it. They didn't like you look back and same thing. We you know, I mean, if there was forums back then with like what we got now, we would see a lot of hate towards Empire Strikes Back, and now it's regarded as one of the best. It's my favorite out of the whole Star Wars franchise. I love that film. The love that there is for a movie now sometimes takes time, and some people catch on to it quick. You know what I mean? I loved Lost World from the moment I saw it, and also the San Diego scene, like you said. A lot of people don't like that because they felt it was a different type of movie. I love that scene. It's one of the I forgot to say before. That's one of the reasons I love that movie so much, because I wanted to see dinosaurs in our element. I wanted to see them in town. Like when I had my toys when I was a little kid, I would play sometimes that the dinosaurs escaped into the city and towns. And I always would imagine what it would be like with like raptors like running amok in a ShopRite, which is like a grocery store in New Jersey. I would be in Kmart with my grandma, and sometimes I swear I imagine these dinosaurs just like in this. That's how big of a fan I was, that I saw dinosaurs everywhere in my imagination, and I would draw these things and just see like this T-Rex running amok in San Diego. And like one of my favorite scenes is when he reaches up and grabs the light, the traffic light, and destroys it. I love that scene. It's just something an animal will naturally do. Seeing that, I see my cat do stuff like that, you know. So people didn't like that because it was different. People didn't like it because they wanted to feel Jurassic Park again, and it was different from the book. And that's what I feel made it suffer and have the hate in the mixed reviews back then.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit everything down to the letter. Just hit the nail on the head, because specifically with that Empire Strikes Back likening, I was going to bring that up if you didn't, but you completely did that justice, man. Like the Empire Strikes Back, which is known mostly today as one of, if not the best Star Wars movies that has been put out. But the reason that it does so well is because it takes the elements of the original Star Wars, like all this hope, all this stuff, and then it takes it darker, but it doesn't get rid of the fact that what made the original thing magic, the original movie magic, which is the fact that it's still taking place in the original setting, which is this far off fantastical world of another galaxy. It still has all of the major components of the Force, of like like space wizards, but then it takes it into a new direction by going like, but this is how it also affects these people on a psychological level. And I think that we saw that specifically with Malcolm in
Yes.
The Lost World. Malcolm hates dinosaurs after JP1.
Yeah.
And going into The Lost World, you see how much he just loathes these things. And he's just like, I am not going back to that island. Wait a minute, holy crap, my girlfriend's there. Well, dang it, I guess I gotta go. And then he goes to the island, tries to save him. And then what ends up happening is just, hijinks ensue. But I mean, all this stuff starts happening. He's got trauma on trauma because the person that he loves is on the island and she's in mortal danger. His daughter sneaks onto the island and he loves her. She's in mortal danger. Like, all of this is going on, and this is just showing how trauma really plays off of in the mind of an actual human being. I love the transformation of Malcolm from the first movie to the second.
So do I.
Because it shows it's a human reaction. Like yes, I was this outgoing, extroverted, like super, ladies man, type of a guy in the first movie, but holy crap, I was super brought down, humbled, and like now I'm jaded towards the entire world because of the experiences I had in the first movie. And then moving into the second one, you see how he functions, how he's no longer just looking at all this with like caution. Now he's just like, I hate dinosaurs. I'm scared of dinosaurs. We need to get away from dinosaurs. And it's such a great development of that character. And so I completely agree with you. Like the movie suffered a lot of hate because it went a completely different direction. And I think that really speaks for itself. That's honestly why I probably went in it got so much hate, but now we see it with so much love because it is so different. It's not just a copy and paste. It's not like Transformers. The first movie was fine, but then you kind of come to this idea of like copy and paste, but make it longer as each movie progresses in the Transformers franchise.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park is not that way. I mean, we've gone up and down and all around with the way that these movies feel, but ultimately these movies have a lot of depth and dynamics. But going back to The Lost World, you mentioned briefly that the movie is so much different than the book. But at the same time, it still takes the basic idea of Malcolm, a second island, Malcolm being the main character, Site B being the setting, and having a new guy, having a new villain, if you will, with with Hammond's nephew. What's his name again? I can't remember.
Peter Ludlow.
Thank you, Ludlow. Yeah, but other than that, there's a lot of difference. So, do you think it was first of all, do you think it was a good move to go the route that they did for a cinematic sequel in 1993's JP, with going with a version of Michael Crichton's story, or do you think that they should have gone with the original sequel plan by Spielberg with the Barbasol can from JP1?
It's hard to say because like we never got that sequel with the Barbasol can, and we kind of got that a little bit with the Telltale game. I don't know. I don't know if you played that game, and it was cool. Like I liked the game. Is it the best? No, but I did kind of like a little bit of the story from it. I do love the introduction of Troodons. That was awesome.
Yes, I agree with that.
And like not exactly. It wasn't a mosasaur. It was a Kronosaur. Yes, which was pretty cool because Jurassic World hadn't come out and we didn't know about the mosasaurus being in the next movie. So it was cool to see like a marine reptile already being mentioned in the Jurassic lore, and I was like, oh yes, I hope they have plesiosaurs, I hope they have ichthyosaurs, I hope they I started just going down the line, so you kind of see a little bit of that, and I don't know what exactly Spielberg had in mind with the Barbasol can. I think it was a good setup for another film, but honestly, like I can't really say without no, like, we got Lost World, and I'm very happy with Lost World. I don't know
Mhm.
where he would go with the other way, but I do love the idea of a second island. I love the idea that we got away from Isla Nublar, and like I love that we went back in Jurassic World. Like, it gave us some time to stay away from Nublar, let it like kind of just seep into mystery and lore, and then we went back to it. But like going directly back to it, I don't know. I don't really know. Like, I love the fact that there's another island, and this island was the factory floor, and I mean, I guess like I would say, I guess going back into Nublar, there, you have all those environments of like Jurassic Park. You would have the fences, you would have the visitor center, you would have all these and all these structures that are keeping these dinosaurs kind of like too close to the Jurassic realm, I guess, and
Mhm.
just going back into Sorna, you have more of like their jungle and no structures. So I kind of like that idea. But then again, I really don't know. Like, it's a hard question to like answer, because since we weren't really given, if he had like a script, I don't know, does he? Like, I've never heard if he did.
Yeah, I have not heard of one that he had a script for that. I've heard of like him doing interviews where he did have
Yeah,
some idea of what he wanted to do, but he never put it to paper. But I think it had something to do with like a rescue mission. And I think that Biosyn probably would have come back into the picture as well.
right.
But I mean, at this point, beyond that, I'm speculating, because the thing is that like Spielberg, he had an idea for a sequel, and then Michael Crichton has the Lost World book come out, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting, especially because of the fact that the first book ends with Nublar being napalmed. And like everything needs to die, right? And so you're sitting there going like, huh, okay, well, what are you gonna do with this island then? Because like JP1 already has differences from the book.
Hmm.
Then the Lost World, like I agree with you. I'm glad that they did do a new island and showing that there's other places with dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah,
Like even down to the line from Malcolm. Wait a minute, there's a second island with dinosaurs on it, and I just
yeah.
thought like it's so great because honestly, it's a fun realization to have more places with dinosaurs. But I have to admit, I still want to see what happens with the Barbasol can according to canon. Not just the Jurassic Park Telltale game. I want to see Colin Trevorrow as like the head of whatever they're doing with everything Jurassic World. I want him to be able to say like, hey, let's go back and try to explore this, whether it's a small story or whether it leads to a bigger one. I want to know what happens because it's such a cool aspect. But I will say I'm very happy with the Lost World, and I personally am a huge fan of the scene with the Rex in San Diego, which actually leads us to our next question.
Right.
Was the final scene with the Rex in San Diego a good choice for the movie? I mean, based upon what you've already said, I think it's a
Yeah.
yes. For me, it's a yes. But there's still obviously those people that think that it's not, And so,
Hmm.
like, if you were to make a case right now of saying like this is why it was a good choice, what would you tell me?
Well, basically, the reason I feel it was a good choice was we had these dinosaurs in the first movie were isolated. They were left on an island, and the rest of the world had no idea about them. We have this character that's vilified for speaking out and saying that these things existed, they're real.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost his tenure, he's lost a bunch. He looks, he just has this. Malcolm doesn't have the same like savvy look like in the first movie. His hair's all nice. He has his hair like really short. He looks like he's tired. You see him in the beginning of the movie, he's yawning. He probably doesn't get enough sleep. Like, these are all things that I'm making assumptions, but these are things that like live in my head canon for like.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, because like he's suffered. Like, we don't, from like little hints from what Sarah says when she visited him in the hospital, he probably had to like go through huge amount of physical therapy because his leg probably got infected. We know in the book he actually dies in the first book, and then Crichton brought him back for Lost World, which was another thing that was like a surprise. It was like, oh, he's back.
Right.
But because he's such a great character. I feel that Crichton has said in interviews that Malcolm is him. So like that's why I love that character so much, because it's Crichton himself putting himself in his own story.
That's cool.
And so you have this character where like no one believes him. It's kind of like, you know, if you were a fan of the X-Files, you know what I mean? He's like Mulder. He's out there, like he knows these aliens and stuff exist, but nobody gives him a chance. Like nobody believes him. He's never got proof. And finally, that T-Rex coming out into San Diego is all the proof he needs to clear his name as this crazy person on TV. And you see it in the scene in the subway. He's like, "Oh, I know you. I seen you on TV. I believe you." You know, like this guy is this scholar. He's a mathematician, very smart guy. You know, respected. He goes to the islands and all that in the first movie, and then comes out this crazy person, which probably not only messed up his like, of course it messed up a lot of his like teaching and everything else, but like probably his love life too. you know he's a ladies man, but who wants to go out with this crazy person? Right. So that's one of the reasons too that I feel that like having that T-Rex show up in the city was like the best way to prove that this guy and these paleontologists that he mentioned, but they're keeping quiet until, you know, they release their own books, but like that these animals are real. And it made the world finally know, like, holy moly, dinosaurs really exist again. This guy, and there's an island out there that has a bunch of these dinosaurs. I mean, if it was a real world thing and I saw this on the news, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like ecstatic. Like, I know bringing dinosaurs back is a really bad idea, but I'm one of those that's like, I'd give anything to see a real live T-Rex again.
No,
like,
I hear you.
You know? So I thought it was something like, you know, it's in the book too, whether people like it or not. The raptors escape on a boat on the book, and there's like compies that go onto to the mainland. So it's not a new concept. It's people tend to forget things like that because they want a movie to be the way they want it to be. But like, these are elements that are in these books already. It's just Crichton, Spielberg just capitalized it and just made it like, yes, he did do it in a, almost like Godzilla sequence, but I love Godzilla, so I was like, I'm all right with that. Like, you know?
No, I hear that. I mean, I'm with you on that. I feel like this was a fantastic addition to the movie in order to be able to especially give that character arc to Malcolm, like you're talking about. And then also they capitalized on that character arc in Jurassic World and then Fallen Kingdom with making him a notable scientist again, a person like he's an author. He wrote that book.
Exactly.
And then in Fallen Kingdom, he's actually a source to go like people are. He's actually a source of counsel to the United States government. Like, should we actually go and say these things? Nope. You know, like, and he's consistent with his character. But when I will say I only have one complaint with the Lost World San Diego sequence, and it's the fact that it seems to just happen and then it's done, and it's so quick. I just wish that there was a little more with it. I mean, if anything, I wish that there was more with it. Just like specifically when Jurassic World put out that video of like what looked like a camera video, you know, like
oh my god, that was awesome. Yeah,
dude, it was so cool. I mean, it's like something like I wish that there was like more interaction with the rest of the world, you know. And so like that's the only complaint that I have, is that it feels like it's there and it's gone. And then if I were to write some sort of like full on Christmas wish list of like what I would have wanted to see, the ultimate thing would have been really cool is if they actually got more than just the T-Rex into the San Diego Jurassic Park, and then we would have been able to see a little more carnage, a little more mayhem ensue. But I think that at that point Spielberg, because I mean, like the San Diego scene, correct me if I'm wrong, was actually written in after they had already started production. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, same as the ending in Jurassic Park. I remember the for Jurassic Park, the ending in Jurassic Park is like Hammond rolls in there with like a shotgun and takes out the raptors. That was the original ending. And like then he was like, nope, don't like it, and he changed it like last minute. He was like, I want the T-Rex fighting the Raptors. And then in the other one, it was supposed to be like a hang glider scene. They were, and the Raptors were supposed to like attack, and then like pteranodons were supposed to show up and attack the rescue helicopter and so on. And he's like, nope, don't like it, scrap it. He's like, we're going to the city. And it's an idea that he kept pushing, but Kathleen Kennedy did not like it. And she's
Wait
like,
a minute, what?
yeah. Kathleen Kennedy, if you watch a lot of the, like, I think honestly I've seen every behind the scenes that there is, and a lot of the times that in these interviews you would hear like Kathleen saying like it felt like a different movie. We didn't really want to put that in, but it's an idea that with Steven never leaves. And when Steven Spielberg says he wants to do something, he's gonna do it.
Yep.
He's head honcho when it comes to these stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they'll talk to him, but he's pretty much like, yeah, that's cool. And then he'll be like, nope, I really feel we got to do this end, and they can't talk him out of it. And he's like we're doing it,
Dude.
And I feel is the best way to go.
Dude, I completely agree. I'm glad that he fought for it. I'm glad that we ended that way, because I feel like we would have had a JP3 rushed ending kind of feel if we would have just like, and
Yes.
and the helicopters took him off, like, no, like, I want to see what that means to these people. And so like the San Diego scene really does provide that, like, the pied de resistance, the cherry on top that really makes it all really fantastic. But number 5, last question: how did the Lost World become one of the most well-loved, seriously, Jurassic films today? Because I mean, if you look back at how we were just talking about how it was hated for a while, but then now we discussed of like how distinct it is from the rest of the films, and then now like but you also said that you enjoyed the movie from when you first saw it in theaters, but then also a lot of people have come around to just seeing that The Lost World is their favorite one, period, just after all these years, and some people coming into the franchise and the fandom just now, like in the past 5 years, 6 years since Jurassic World came out. People are crazy about The Lost World. Why do you think it's so well loved today?
I feel because they have like I said, like they bring back Malcolm. Malcolm's a very favorite character in the entire franchise. The fact that like it is so different, it stands out from the other sequels. Just seeing these dinosaurs in their own environment, there's just so many elements of this film that just makes it great and makes it so different from the other ones that I feel people are understanding why I from the get love this film. It's just that it's that phenomena that happened with like Empire Strikes Back. Really, we're going back to that, where it's like it is that like you finally start noticing like how great this film is, and sometimes it takes time for certain films to have that love.
Oh no, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, specifically when you like The Empire Strikes Back is definitely that movie that you look back at it and you're like, whoa, yeah, that was actually a lot better than what it was originally received. But I mean, you even have that with like some like kind of like ridiculous movies. Looking back at some of these like old comedies or something like that. I know that some people absolutely hated Dumb and Dumber. This is a completely different genre of movie, but like some people just like hated Dumb and Dumber when it first came out, and now it's known as like the first movie out of the new form of humor, which is like very slapstick, random, like out of the box humor. And now it's seen as like its own cult classic. And I think The Lost World has, obviously not Dumb and Dumber vibes, but it has the same understanding. Yeah, no, definitely not. But it has that same idea of like it's so out of the box. It's so different than what people are originally thinking, and with that comes a huge amount of refreshing and nostalgia. I will say though, specifically on the nostalgia point, like I'm friends with with Matt Huell. He's been on the channel a lot lately, and his favorite movie is Lost World too. But he also talks about how all of the he talks about all of the toys and all of the stuff that he had,
Yes,
all the collector's items that he
that's
had
true.
from the Lost World when he was a kid, and
Hmm.
JP3, but the Lost World is his favorite. And looking back at all of that, the Lost World had those really like I had the mercenaries, and it had those really cool vehicles and all those opportunities for these different aspects of humans invading the natural world of these dinosaurs. And you touched upon that earlier too, but like I really do enjoy the flip flop of going from dinosaurs in man's world to man being in dinosaurs world, and the huge amount of nostalgia that people look when they see even like just the logo for the Lost World Jurassic Park. I honestly think that nostalgia really has a huge pull for a large part of the fandom, for the Lost World being so well loved, but then also just how distinct and different it is. I think that you hit the nail on that, on the head with that. So, but Jay, I just want to say that's all the time that we got for today, and thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining me today. This has honestly been a huge, just a huge treat, a pleasure for me to be able to talk with somebody who is so important to the fandom. Is there any final words on the Lost World, or anything that you want to say before we sign off here?
Um, I know there's some people out there that probably, I mean, I know there's a lot of new fans that have gotten into uh, the Jurassic Park fandom from Jurassic World and probably haven't gone back and maybe seen Lost World. And that if you have, I mean, I know we got a bunch of things going on in this world right now, but like that is a film you must see if you want like to be part of the Jurassic Park fandom. It's just very an integral film for the whole franchise as a whole, because we're starting to see in these new films callbacks to it.
Oh yeah.
Not as much as I would love to see way more callbacks, but just there's little bits being called back into these old films. Um and it's just an awesome film. Like you know what I mean? I put it I watch it as much as I watch Jurassic Park, you know. So
No, I hear that, and then let's hope that we get the redwood side of the island, Sorna, back in Jurassic World Dominion. How about that? Let's hope for that. Um,
oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Dude, that'd be
There's
amazing.
some stuff that came out I've been seeing. I don't know.
Yeah,
we
I
might
mean,
we
like
might. I don't know.
it's a hope against a hope. But make sure that. But before we go, I just want to say once again, thank you so much, Jay, for joining me today. And then also make sure to
Mhm.
check out Jurassic Jay, or excuse me, Jay Jurassic on Instagram. Make sure to follow him and see what he's up to. Also, make sure to check out the Jurassic Park podcast, because Jay is a part of that, and those guys are just awesome. But also,
Thank you.
if you are so if you're happy with what you heard today on the Dino Park Media channel, please give us a subscribe. And it's just amazing that we have this opportunity to be a part of the community in this way. But guys, thank you so much for joining us today, and know you are loved.